we're going to talk about you guys. We talked about, I want you to meet the Cleavers first of all. Remember that? Meet the Cleavers. Now, what did we talk about in our first session? That's right. What's your feelings? How are you feeling? Gone. Yeah. Feel that? Feel familiar? So, look who's left. Look at their face. What are we going to do now? How are we doing? So, you guys are going to become the recleavers. You've got to recleave. We've been spending so much time raising these kids and getting into our business and all that other stuff that we may have forgotten each other or just not had that much time for each other. And so now it's time to really focus because that's the rest of your life is the two of you. Now there's other things that come along. While families are terminal, they're still around. So last night, Gloria and I, we were invited to babysit our grandkids. So we had a great time doing that. Played sorry and, just had a lot of fun. So it comes around, but it's changed. But after the evening was over, it was the two of us driving home to our dog, who was very happy to see us again. Okay, so we today want to talk about reclaiming your one fleshness. Okay? And again, this is going to be general. This is not to fix the problems, but it is to talk about some general concepts to have you, be inspired to kind of begin this recleaving process if you haven't already. All right. So, I want to talk about first, the most important, what women want most. So I'm going to dare to throw this out there. So we'll see how I do, guys. But let me just say this. And women, ladies, think about this and see if this doesn't make sense for you. And guys, if you get this one thing, remember the Blazing Saddles, that one thing? This is this one thing. If you get this one thing, your life will be radically different. But here it is. My understanding, my experience over 35 years of marriage counseling and 37 years of marriage is this. Women want to know from you guys that they are number one in your life. And that they compete with no one and nothing. Let me say it again. Women want to know that they are number one in your life. And that they compete with no one or nothing. What do you think, ladies? Does that feel about right? Of course. Of course. That trumps everything, right? But right under the Lord, it's this one flesh. Right? And so now men want the same thing. You guys just do a better job of letting us feel that. Okay? So we don't complain too much about that. But we struggle because there are a lot of things we're into, we enjoy doing, and we like doing. And so that often competes. Now, I didn't get this concept until about 10 years into my marriage. Prior to getting it, it was like, really, you got to go golfing again? Really, you got to do this again? Really? I mean, because she wasn't sure if she was number one. Well, maybe I'm number 2 or 3, or where am I in this list of all these things that he's into? And, we men are kind of conquerors, and so, when we are dating, we are like hunters, so we'll do everything. We'll have 3-hour conversations with you. We'll write poetry. I wrote my wife a song and played it for her. We'll do stuff like that, right? And then you think that's going to be how it's going to be, right? Afterwards. But as soon as, at the wedding day when we say I do for a guy, we're done, conquered. And for a woman, it's like we're just getting started. Okay, so there's a very different mentality. So until until Gloria really knew that she was number one in my life, everything was kind of held suspect. Now, once you make that shift, and you really say, you know what, it is true. She is the number one in my life. There isn't anything else. What good would it be if I had this and not her? When you really sort that through, and you figure that out, and you go, okay, fair enough. I'll give it all up because you're that important. The moment a woman knows that, there's nothing she won't do for you. she'll throw herself under a bus for you. I mean, that's just what they want, right? Yes? Giving an amen? Okay. So that's important. And it's easy, and I told Gloria, if ever I start to waver from that, wander from that, let me know. I don't want you to wonder or doubt, because nothing competes. And including children, work, relatives, parents, siblings, nothing competes. They're number one in our life. Okay? Other than the Lord, obviously. You know, when I make lists of priorities, and starting at number one, the paper is the Lord. Without the Lord, it doesn't matter. So that's just such a foundational given. But on that list, number one is your spouse. And men, we want the same thing. We want the same thing. But we also want something else. What do you think men want most? Be bold. Go ahead and say it. Respect, okay. That's not bad at all. What else? Sex? Who said it? Not bad either. No, I think that's like number two. Anybody else want to venture a guess? We want participation. Now, check me out, guys. I think this is not too close to the top. I remember when I was 16 years old, I was getting ready to go skiing with my uncle. I'm at his house. It's 5:30 and dark, and we're getting ready to pack up his car to go up to Arrowhead and Big Bear. And we're also waiting for his buddies to come. And so we're just loading up his car. And he said this weird statement that kind of went, wow, where did that come from? And I was 16 years old, so I was also like, well, that's weird. But later, and I've never forgotten that, I started to understand what he was talking about. And he said this to me as we're packing up. He goes, you know, I'd rather get you all, my buddies and you out of here if Carol would just go skiing with me. Wow, okay. She's sleeping. She's not going to go skiing. Now, skiing is cold. It's hard. It's all these horrible things, and so no, I don't want to go. Really, I mean, I love this, and isn't it nice to love something and then share it with the person that you love? Have you also had two friends that you just get along with great, and you want to say you want them to be friends so we can just all enjoy each other, but they're not quite that close? You just miss that. And so the things that matter to you most, you want to share it with the people that matter with you most. And so we guys, we like you gals to participate in the things that we like. Okay? So it's important for you to give it a shot, to try to participate. Speaking of skiing, my mother would travel with us on vacation. So we would go skiing. She doesn't ski at all. But she goes, and she participates. And I remember we would go skiing. She goes, okay, where are you guys skiing? Okay, I'm going to be down at the bottom of the mountain. I'm going to bring, donuts and hot chocolate. I'm going to just wait for you. And we'd ski, we'd come down and have a bite and have a drink and then get back on the lifts. And she was participating without skiing. But she was involved. And we remember her as being part of that ski trip. As opposed to, well, we'll see you tonight for dinner, kind of thing. So there's ways to participate that makes us feel like, all right, now it's complete. I'm doing what I love, and the person I love is here. Now, sometimes that works out pretty nice. Sometimes it's a little bit more remote, like with my mother, and she wasn't skiing with us, but there's an approximation. And even the approximation is appreciated. When we think, all right, well, I appreciate you even being here, doing this. One thing that works, Gloria and I participate with each other, is she likes sewing, right? And she'd go into fabric stores. Have you ever been in a fabric store? Oh my gosh. She walks in a fabric store, she sees curtains and napkins and tablecloths and dresses, and I'm overwhelmed. You have to walk through the bolts, and she's just dreaming. I'm going, okay. Like about 10 minutes, I go, okay, I'll see you outside. I get back out of this. But she appreciates that I go and at least hang in there with it. Now, vice versa, I say, come on, girl, I got to show you some more chrome. Right, so I take her to the Harley Davidson store and show her all the chrome that's going to end up on my motorcycle. Now, Some of you know that Gloria works at Williams-Sonoma, or did. She started bringing home her own chrome. Okay, wait a minute, we both got a chrome problem here. You're bringing home. Okay, but it's nice for you to participate in what the other person wants. It matters. It means a lot. The other thing is, ladies, you love us, you want to help us, and you see so much potential for improvement, which is, right? Wow, you could really improve in this area. And we don't mind improving. We just want to be asked. Remember, what was I talked about with the kids? Unsolicited advice is usually rejected. So you want to ask. You don't want to just step in there. Now, for men and women, we're very different, right? If let's say you guys came over for dinner, and Gloria would, after dinner, she'd go up to the kitchen. You'd go up and start washing dishes with her, drying and talking. You and I'd go in my garage and to my work table, which I don't have. I don't do that. I do this. And so I would be working on something. You'd be there and you'd pick up a screwdriver and a hammer. You start jumping right in there, right? You would never do that. You wouldn't touch my tools. You'd stand there and watch. And you'd ask, hey, what you doing? Well, how's that coming? Well, it's okay. And I mean, it's big. You need some help with that? I think I got it. Okay. Well, what do you have? I mean, and then boom, he steps in. If you just picked up my tools, dude, what are you doing? Right? That's how men are. So, one of the biggest problems in relationships is that men treat women like men, and women treat men like women. Doesn't work so good. So to illustrate that, let's just imagine that Gloria, many years ago, she's got 3 kids, one wrapped around her leg, she's cooking, she's got the kitchen sink running water, overflowing, and I'm in the dining room watching this, and it's obvious that she needs help. And because I love her, I will not help her. Because that would be disrespectful to a guy. But I'm treating her like a guy, and she's going like, what, do I have to drop dead before you step in here? Come on. And so it's important for us guys to step in. It's okay. They don't find it offensive. They really appreciate it. Really, and you just help them without asking them? Yeah. It's amazing. Wow, okay. And ladies, don't step in there because it'll be rejected. We just go, it's just difference between men and women. So it's a huge shift to do, and to not treat your husband like your girlfriend. It doesn't work so well, and vice versa. Women are very indirect. Yes, they hint, they're subtle. They don't want to be harsh. They don't want to offend, and so they're very subtle. And we're going, she's trying to tell me something. I don't know what she's telling me. Guys are very direct. If your feet stunk, I said, dude, do something around your feet, man. Change your socks. What are you doing? For a woman, like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. How can you say it? It's terrible. So with a guy, tell it to us. I mean, shoot straight. We love it. We don't want to wonder and guess. And guys, when you talk to your ladies, you got to go subtle. You can't be like you treat your guys. It's too harsh. It's too much. It's too intense. You got to soften it out. Again, treat your wives like women, not like guys, and vice versa. Become a willing participant. Okay, both of us. There's things that matter to you as a woman that don't matter to us as much. There's things that matter to us that doesn't matter to you that much. And what I don't want is to drag you to something that you're, okay, again, seriously, And one of the classic areas is talking face to face, right? Having a conversation in sex. So a wife says, can we talk? Really? And didn't we like a couple months ago do that? I mean, we have to do it again? Seriously? How do we have to do this? And vice versa, it's like, hey, what you doing tonight? Oh, come on, really? And the other thing is that we complain sometimes about, why doesn't he initiate a conversation? Why do I always have to be the one to start the conversation? Well, because it matters to you more than it does to us. And vice versa. Why doesn't she initiate sex sometimes? I mean, geez, is she not interested? And so, I don't mind being the initiator if I have a willing participant. What I don't want to do is drag somebody to the table. That's not fun. Okay? So if I say, hey, what you doing tonight? She goes, well, nothing, Tiger. Okay. I don't mind initiating. Or if she says, hey, you got a minute to talk about something? Sure, sure, absolutely, let's go talk. What you got? That makes it a whole lot better than to drag somebody to the table. And I'm just using 2 classic areas, but there are many areas where it's not that important to you, but it is to your spouse. And so make a decision to become a willing participant. It just makes it a whole lot easier, and it goes both ways. And like begets like. You start doing that, and suddenly it starts a nice upward spiral as opposed to, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to do that. And before you know it, things are just being pulled off the table. Then you got a pretty barren table that you're dealing with. Now here's another one. Give up hope. You'll feel so much better. Just quit hoping. You'll just feel better. If you think they're going to change, forget about it. It's not going to happen. Now, bless her heart, but Gloria, that girl, is never going to turn off lights. You guys hear the helicopters flying around at night? They think there's an airport at my house with so many lights on, okay? They're looking for the place to land. There must be an airport. Look at all the lights, you know? Now, this has been a problem for 37 years. So the first 10 years, I was just mad at her and let her know, and, you know, and all that. Then the second 10 years was, I wasn't mad at her, but I was pretty, you know, turning off the lights and just frustrated, you know, and just, you know, driving me crazy, but I didn't want to fight, so just skip it. And I saw that you're disrespectful, I work so hard, and you just, you know, all this stuff. And now, bless her little heart, you know, I mean, just Friday I come home, and in the evening, I went through the house at 7 lights, boom, 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 boom. I wasn't frustrated, I wasn't resentful, not a tinge of disappointment. It's just the way it is. And the other thing that girl does is she doesn't lock anything up. I mean, she cares about security. But the windows are open, the doors are unlocked, the car's unlocked. You know, our neighbors said, well, did they go through your car? Because somebody went through my car, it was unlocked. And the next day, I checked, and it was unlocked. Same process, angry, fighting, then resentful, and then now I just lock doors, I turn off lights. Now, Gloria, was it yesterday? Hey, where's the, what was I looking for? The potatoes. I make so much. It's in the refrigerator. Okay. I don't see them. Right there. Right there, in the middle, in the front. And you know what she did? She said, oh, they're right here, honey.
Yeah.
Now, 10 years ago, she didn't say that. She said, really? Are you serious? I mean, you can't see that? What's it? But we both gave up hope. And feel so much better. Seriously. Just give it up. You know the movie Frozen? Let it go. Let it go. You'll feel better. I mean, some things are not going to change. Now, some things are deal breakers, so you better make some change. But there's so many things that just, it's not worth it. Let it go. It's just what it is. And we all got our little stuff. Okay? We all have our stuff. She also, I'm probably one of the most reliable, dependable, on time, do it, you tell me to do it, I do it. She still reminds me. Seriously? I mean, look at my track record. I don't think you need to say that. I'm good. I got it covered. Yes, dear, that's fine. I'll remember. And it really works. It really works. You know, a lot of our fighting is over this little stuff that just makes us crazy. So we got to let it go. All right. Some more cleaving. Here, the power of traditions and rituals. I think this gets overlooked. And it's so amazing, especially, and actually we've used it throughout our family life. And now we're creating new ones in our new state of just being the two of us. So there's traditions for yourself that you want to create. We've created a new tradition. Now, I'm just so fortunate to be married to a woman who loves cars more than I do. She knows about it. She educates me about, oh, and that has this and that. So, I mean, I'm with a girl. Now, when we were dating, I had a 190 SL, 1961 or something, two-door, nice car. That's why she married me. The car. That's why I got it. I figured I'd find some girl who's going to like that. Okay? So she loves that. So one of the things, we have a tradition is we go to Cars and Coffee. Have you ever heard of that? Cars and coffee. Now, this was in Irvine, and they just shut it down for temporarily. Hopefully they'll bring it back again. But throughout the country, Jay Leno goes to his in his area. I mean, it's a cool, everybody brings their exotic cars. Here's a whole line of Porsches, and they have Ferraris, they have, I mean, every car imaginable. Awesome, and we just love it. It's early in the morning, have a cup of coffee, get a donut, and you walk around and look at all the cars, talk to the guys about their cars. They love to tell you about their cars. We just have a blast doing it. And then after that, we have breakfast. A little tradition. Now, a little bigger tradition that we've done now 3 years in a row, and we're thinking about skipping it, but we're going to do maybe a light version of it, is we go to the Concordia Elegance. You ever heard of that? In Monterey? It's one of the biggest car shows in the world. Everybody comes from other countries, sheiks from Arabia. I mean, everybody comes. It's amazing. And we just love it. It's a week long. The whole Monterey Peninsula is all cars, all vintage cars. You're in your hotel room and you hear Ferraris cruising by and all these exotic cars. We just love it. So that's one of the traditions that we do, and we look forward to it. Okay? Now there's some things you do by yourself. Now this here is, Flora's not major into motorcycles, but from time to time she jumps on the back and rides with me. Not too often, but from time to time to be a good sport. I appreciate that. Pretty cool. Date night. How many of you guys do date night? Oh, come on. God. Traditions. We got to create some traditions. Let me tell you about date night. We wanted to do date night for many years, and so first of all, we didn't have the money. Okay, well, because we spent on other things, and now, okay, we'll do it next month. So then we said, let's get a money jar. We'll put money in the jar, and then we'll have the money, no excuses. So then we filled up one jar, then we filled up the second jar, and we still weren't going. Really? So then I realized, okay, this is not happening. But then I asked, what does happen? And Gloria and I are students, so we are very, beautiful to go to class. If there's a class, you show up, you do your thing, as good students do. So we said, well, let's join a class. And that'll force us, because if we make a commitment to be at a class, we show up. So let's do that. So we did a ballroom dancing class. Okay? So suddenly we have a class to go to. Now, the date night wasn't really the ballroom class. That was just where we fought. See? You want to lead, and I'm supposed to lead. But it was after that we'd go out and have coffee and some dessert. There was our date night that was attached to a class. And now we were having regular date nights. Now that went well until the class was over. It's like, oh, now we got to come up with another strategy. But the deeper about date night is this. When you go on a date, what makes a good date? Anybody? Communication. That's half of it. That's half of it.
Do something you both like.
That's close. So you know you have a great date when it includes two things. Face-to-face time and shoulder-to-shoulder time. Face-to-face time is where you're talking, right? And shoulder-to-shoulder is what? When you're doing something. Guys like what? Shoulder-to-shoulder. Ladies like face. Yeah. So if we just went to a movie and then went home, was that a good date night? Guys? Yeah, what's wrong with that? Especially for a shoot 'em up one, right? If we just went out to dinner and talked, would that be a great date night, ladies? Sure. Yeah. Guys? Not so much. So you want both. You want both. Now you can, one activity we used to do, a hobby that I haven't done too much of lately, is sailing. Now sailing is an awesome little sport because you sail and you're doing something, there are things to do, and you have to, trim the sails and do all that stuff, but there's lots of times where you just sit it and you go and you sit. And you got 2 or 3 other couples and you're just having a great conversation. So it was an awesome blending of the two where we had a lot of fun. So if you're going to do the date night, you want to make sure you're going for face-to-face and shoulder-to-shoulder. And you want to ask yourself, are these ingredients in the mix? Now, it doesn't mean you have to always have both. But for the most part, you want to make sure you're covering both bases. We're just going to watch the Super Bowl together. Is that shoulder-to-shoulder? Yeah. Some face-to-face time, but not so much, right? Okay, so you want to make sure there's opportunity. And if you had Super Bowl, and as soon as the game's over, everybody left, then we just had our shoulder-to-shoulder time, but no face-to-face. And usually people hang out, and then we start to have some conversations, and it's a great thing for everybody. Because you're making sure both are included. Okay, kids. You want to create traditions and rituals with your kids. We just started a new one. I mean, there's some rituals we let go because they're older, they're not around, so we can't maintain those traditions and rituals. But we just started a new one, which is for our married. Well, I started one last year. I just wanted to do it, so I did it, and I thought that one was pretty good. I should do that next year. And then I thought, well, I should do it with all my kids. And that is to take each of my adult kids out for a lunch. Just me and them. Check in, how's it going? And then I took my daughter Whitney out. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. I'm going to take Jason out, her husband. Why not? So I took him out. That was a good time. So now I've made a new tradition where on their birthdays, I'm going to take them for lunch. So we just plan on. And with Erica, the one I just had lunch with, her birthday was in November. I had lunch with her in January. A little late, right? But it's not so much about the birthday, but the fact that I connect and treat that ritual, a tradition. And we love it. And my daughter, Erica, she's not the biggest talker, but we had a wonderful conversation for over an hour. This is awesome. This is good. We're going to keep doing this. So I've warned all my other kids, here's what I'm doing, so get ready. Now, then I'm thinking, well, what about Gloria, right? So I thought, hey, why don't we do this? And I talked to Gloria about this. Why don't we, when they had their wedding anniversary, we have two are married in January. So now we're having a tradition. Tonight we're going to go take Whitney and Jason out for dinner. So every year, on their anniversary, we're going to take them out for dinner. Just to hang out. And it's creating those traditions. Traditions are important because it makes sure you keep doing it. If you just did it once, it would drift away. Right? And you go, how long has it been? We haven't done that in a long time. What traditions do we have with church? How about going to church on Sunday? Right? You just kind of do it. You don't forget. It's always there. And then there's other traditions. Some forget. Now we also have baptism. There are all these traditions and rituals that are so important for the continuity of relationships. So you want to build that into your relationships. You want to have those birthdays and anniversaries, and make up your own. And look for those opportunities. They keep you in the game. They keep you doing what works because you make the commitment. And last night I told my son, because we were babysitting their kids, say, listen, we started a new tradition, so get ready for it. We're going to take you guys out. Think about where we want to take you. So I put myself out there, because then they're going to say, hey, I thought you said we're going to go. Oh, yes, right. I mean, they're going to hold me accountable. I want to put it out there, so we're going to do this. Okay. Now things can change. Let's say somebody gets a job in Florida. Well, how do we do that? I mean, but for now, we're going to run it. See how it works. Then we have grandkids. Anybody here have grandkids? Okay. Awesome. We started a new tradition with Lori's idea. Which I thought was awesome. We started a new tradition called Camp Robbins. So this was 3 years ago we started. This was Lori's idea. This is when we had a 1 and a 3-year-old. And so Camp Robbins amounted to being a day at Grandma and Grandpa's house, okay? And so they came for the day and we did, just play with them for the most part in the pool. Second year we did like 3 days, and we had a marine theme to it. So we went down to the ocean, we saw the seals, and we did all stuff that had to do with the ocean. Last year we did, it was cowboy, it was Western. And so this was a 5-day kind of thing with a one overnighter at a food ranch thing. So my daughter, Erica, helped out. She wanted to be a part of it. So we went and had a great time. It's cool for us because we get some really quality time with our grandkids. It's awesome for the parents because they get some quality time with each other, without their kids. And so it's just a tradition that now we start. And in fact, last night when we were babysitting them, our 3-year-old, Henry, walks out in his cowboy boots. His little underwear and cowboy boots, right? And he goes, remember Camp Robbins? I think that was awesome, that was fun. And so he remembers that. And then he comes up. And the thing why this is important for our marriage is that Lori and I will spend 3 months getting ready for Camp Robbins and you know, commiserating about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, where we're going to go, and it just brings us together over some cool reasons. Make sense? So these are some of the things that help you be pleased with each other. Now, I want to show you, this is our website, and I want to show you how you can get to the videos that I'm taking. So when it comes time. So this, if you come to our website, this is our website. What happens, you go here to therapist, and that'll open up to licensed therapists and pre-licensed. Then it opens up to the license, which is my name. Then if you keep going over, you'll see there's a tab for who's in the driver's seat, the 7-week series. There's a tab for anger, friend, or foe, which I teach in the lay counseling class. And then there'll be the empty nest tab. So that's where you go to see that. Okay? There's some other resources there as well, so check it out. I think you find it helpful, or refer it on to folks who might find it helpful. Now I got about 7 minutes left, so I want to transition into turning point stewardship, let you know about the ministry I've been doing. Now this is on our website, on the church's website, and I just noticed it, and this is just a kind of an update with our finances at the church, and at the bottom it says, we won't follow the pattern of the federal government, we can't and won't do deficit spending. Okay? We will not spend more than what we receive. I hardly agree with that. Pardon? Yeah, that's a great philosophy. And that's what our church has done for a long time. That's not new. They're just reminding us about how they operate, which is great. There are a lot of churches that are deeply in debt and enslaved. So, at Turning Point Stewardship, just to introduce you, I've been doing this for 5 years. Nobody that I know of is doing this. Haven't been when that first reading, like, oh, I did a meeting like that. But so far, so good. But some of you heard about Dave Ramsey, you've heard about Crown Financial Ministries. They've been fantastic teaching seminars to help you upgrade your understanding about how to manage your money. What we do is we don't teach. We will actually implement for you. Imagine me going to the gym for you and you get in shape. Or I go on a diet and you lose weight. Wouldn't that be cool? And I'm a psychologist and I work with marriage and family, and I love sometimes just go home and let me just go home and parent kids and show you how this works. Let me just go home and show you how to be a husband. But I can't. I can just tell you and hope that you do it. Okay? But with money management, I realize you can't. In fact, it's been happening for 150 years because all the rich and famous have been doing it. So what we do, just to tell you, is that we create a cash management plan, a budget. Now, my budget is different than any budget you've seen. And I tried to use the standard budget, Dave Ramsey's budget, and all the budgets that are out there, and they didn't work for me. They were crazy. And so I had my program, and I was trying to squeeze my program into this budget, and it wasn't working. So I said, I'm just going to design a new budget that works with my program. Suddenly, it's working great. Okay? So what do? We pay your monthly bills on time, so there's no late fees. We create a savings plan for future bills. So what are those? Emergency fund, auto repair fund, property tax and insurance, auto insurance, gifts, Christmas and vacation, other financial goals, weddings, college, next new car, whatever is on your horizon, we put it into the budget. We make sure the money's there when time comes. Okay. We also create a good plan. If you have debt, then we also get you out of debt. Now, I used to have a ministry called Turning Point Financial Counseling, or debt-free counseling, which is a debt management company which helps people get out of credit card debt. And that was the birth of Turning Point Stewardship, because people would say, well, that's great, you're helping me with my credit cards. What about the rest of my bills? They say, well, we're not allowed to. Your credit card debt's it. But we realized how effective it was just to help people in one area of their life, which is their credit cards, and what could happen if we could do their other bills. And then also, to be able to do this, I had to become a financial advisor. So we also give, part of the program is that you have me to say, should I buy a car or lease a car? Should I take time to say, all these things. Plus, we're a concierge. Hey, you got a plumber that you trust? You got an auto repair? Yeah, we got all that stuff. So we'll help you. And if you don't, we'll find it for you. We had one member on our program. We just saved them $900 a year on auto insurance. They started shopping. They got a better deal. They were thrilled. That was 5 months of our service, just that way. So we're always looking for ways to help you save money. Now, it's not for folks whose expenses far exceed their income. We're not here for the people that are down and out. This is for people, and we'll find out just for who it's for. It's for people who wonder where all their money went. Right? We make pretty good money. Where the heck does it go? We should do better. We should be doing better with this. There's no sense of control about where the money's going and how it's going where it belongs. It's just a lot more spontaneous spending is strategic. It's for couples who just don't agree on how to manage their money. Okay? They just don't agree. And so there's a lot of tension and arguing, and you do your thing, I do my thing, and it's just not working. It's for couples who don't like the chore. It's like a hot potato. It's like, here, you do it for a while. I don't want to do it. I mean, nobody wants to do it. But this is one of the things that if it doesn't get done, there's trouble. Okay? Things start to happen. It's for single mom and dads, because they're working, they're taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, and then they come through with a pile of bills, and they do their best to stay on top of it. Well, it's not staying on top of it means late fees and all kinds of other issues and credit card debt and et cetera. It's for couples, for parents, for our generation, who have parents, and now they're getting to a place where maybe they are not the best at managing their money, they might be taken advantage of, and yet it's a little awkward for us to jump into their financial world. Like, oh my gosh, especially if they're siblings, or why are you doing it? I mean, all that stuff happens. So it's a great place for folks like that to get that help. It's also for college students, newlyweds, and young families. I just had a dad call me, and he said, you know, we helped our kid buy a house. We used equity out of our house to buy the house. Okay? And his house was paid for. So now there's about $230,000 of debt that the son owes the father. Now, the young couple, the young family, are not doing the best at managing their money. So paying dad back and getting that to happen isn't quite happening like it's supposed to, which creates a little bit of tension. And then he found us, and he said, you know, could you help them? And he said, well, they have to want it. I mean, you can't tell them they're adults. He says, no, that they're open to doing it. We talked, and I told him about you, and I said, and he said, I want to sponsor them for the first 6 months. I figured by that time you can figure out how to them pay for this by themselves, so that, you know, you can do that. And a lot of times, and I heard a question last week, I think, about, you know, sugar daddy and all that kind of stuff in terms of how do you wean them off. So I have a viola student on. She did the same thing. She's a student. She still is with her parents, but she wants to become independent, but needs help, but doesn't want to ask her parents on how you do that. So for them. It's also for folks who are just challenged physically or emotionally, relationally, going through some hard stuff. Widows, for example. I mean, I had one gal. Her husband was a news anchor locally and died and left her. And he did all the money. He did all the money. She was lost. She had no idea what was going on. You know, so we stepped in. And in fact, one single mom said, you know, wow, you're like a husband who only wants to make sure I'm good financially, doesn't want anything else from me. Look at it that way. Those are right. And then for traveling folks, you know, they're just gone all the time. They're not hard time staying up with it. So we're like a family control. Anybody know what a controller is for a business? Right? I have a business. I don't pay my bills. I have a guy who does that. And that's his job. Now, who's in control of my business? My controller or me? Me. But who's paying the bills? Yeah. Does that put him in charge? No, he just executes my plan. That's all he does. And I review and oversee the plan. So that's kind of what we are for the family. Now, a controller, our church has a controller. Pastor Mike doesn't pay the bills. Schools have controller. The principal doesn't pay bills. The teachers don't pay bills. They're busy doing their job. Small businesses, they have a controller. I have a controller to make sure that gets done. The rich and the famous have been doing it forever. They don't have time for that. But it's never been an option for families, average families, to hire controllers because they're very expensive. Okay, so that's what we're doing in terms of Turning Point Service. We have two things. One is our monthly program, and we have a budget coach. So we can actually build our budget that we created for you, and then you run with it. Okay. Now, this program is $150 per month. It's low ask, and it's $50 for one session. Some budget coach. So it's not very expensive. 150 is like 4 of 8 weeks. We had a physician come on board. He had floating taxes, so he was always late on his floating taxes. He had to pay fees. He was paying like $400 every quarter. Well, when he came on board, we were freaked at him because that went away. He had more money left over after he paid our fee. So it was like, wow, this is like, they're freaking. Yeah, that's what it is. Pretty slick. So we help you live within your means, eliminate your debt, stop the tension with money, and help you achieve your retirement. So we do it for you. We don't teach you, don't tell you, hope for you to do it. This is the cash management plan. I'd love to one day come back and just teach you about this and then email you my Excel spreadsheet that I sell. But I'll just use it so you can try it and see if that doesn't work for you. That's what we call our cash management plan. It's the heart of our program. This is the blueprint. It's like building a house. This is the blueprint. We'll build, you create the blueprint, and then we do the swinging of the hammer. We make it happen. Build it. Now, it's not your typical budget. In my opinion, they don't work. They're too elaborate, or they're not exhaustive enough. Either one. And if there's too much work, you don't do it. You end up stop doing it. If it's not elaborate enough, it's not giving you enough information. What we bring to the table is not what we do, it's that we do it for you. You can do this. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's like, can you do it? Can you do it? Good. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.